Welcome back to episode 95 of the Block Runner Podcast. I'm your host, William, always here with your co-host, Iman.
What's going on, Willis?
Welcome back, dude.
Shit. Yeah, man. Feels like it's been a while.
Yeah. A couple of releases this week. I mean, we talked about Decentral Games. They're killing it right now. We have the Wozniak token. Can you believe that? Dude, Wozniak is back.
The Woz is back?
The Woz.
The fucking Woz, dude. Yeah, somehow I slept on that entirely, dude. I don't know how I missed out, but you'll explain to me later, I guess, how like you knew it was coming all along, but even you missed out. Right?
Yeah, even I missed out. I mean, you know what it was? Because I knew that Woz was coming out with a token, but I don't think there was any discussions on when it was going to be released. So as soon as it dropped, it wasn't like in my view, right? It was like out of my peripherals.
You saw like a headline article or something? Like,
yeah,
Steve Wozniak is getting into the crypto space, some shit like that.
Oh, yeah, right? Yeah, but there's no discussion about tokens or anything like that. So I'm not, you can't, you have to assume with any project, especially with a huge name like that, they have to be releasing a token because that's what this is about. So that I definitely whiffed on that one. So yeah, there's that. There's Wozniak. And then there's we want to talk about DeFi. So we expecting another DeFi bull run in this next run here.
Yeah.
And so
just because we jumped on that DeFi bandwagon extra late last time around, right? Like,
well, we were early, and then we were super late.
We were extra early, abandoned ship for NFTs, and we missed the whole run of the DeFi space until it became so noticeable and loud to where we could no longer ignore it, right? So then we jumped back in, and little did we know we were at the very top. Literally, as soon as we got in, that shit turned to dust.
But you know what?
I called it, dude. It was like DeFi bubble.
You're
imminent.
Right. We were definitely at the peak bubble there, but. Yeah. I mean, even if you're looking at it from a fundamental standpoint, these DeFi protocols make sense. They're like actual use cases for this stuff, like especially Yearn Finance. Like that's obviously the biggest one, probably the most useful one, but then the one that's getting copied and remixed, left and right.
Yeah, it got out of control, dude. There's 50, almost, I don't know, 20, 30 copycats.
Yeah.
They just kept on adding I's at the end of them. Wi-Fi. Infinite I, dude.
Triple I.
YF infinity.
Yeah.
It's crazy. And
so
it was
the
working.
Investment,
almost all of them were popping off.
Yeah. So the point is the investment, it wasn't bad. It was just bad timing.
Yeah.
So
the strategic investing on our behalf was bad in the sense that we waited until the hype cycle caught our attention to put our money in, and actually become participants. You're supposed to get in on these things on the ground level where nobody's talking about them, which That's right. But we totally abandoned ship, like I said.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So now we're gonna do that again. We're recognizing there's definitely not as much DeFi hype, and it could be obviously reflected, even in the gas transactions and stuff. Gas is a good indicator of whether or not DeFi is popping off, right? When gas prices are low, there's a lot less DeFi activity, I guess.
So that's a good indicator. Since gas price is low right now, that's when you start going into these DeFi projects because DeFi is the only thing choking the Ethereum network, and right now nothing's being choked because there's no hysteria yet. And so that means, judging by our history here, that means we should be looking into DeFi, figuring out what's happening, staying up to date with people's Twitters, and figuring out what's going to happen next so that, we make the strategic investments.
Yeah, man, because I don't get interested anymore looking at old protocols from 3 or 4 years ago, I'm already starting to get hit up by old friends and shit. Hey, I want to get into crypto, and then they're inquiring, oh, how's Tezos?
Yeah.
Oh, how's XRP? Dude, I don't give a fuck about none of that shit, dude. That was 4-year-old nonsense. I only care about what's new.
Hey,
know?
Speaking of XRP though, do you know why it's been going crazy in the last couple of weeks?
Not really.
Well, the reason is because there's going to be an airdrop called Spark.
Okay, yeah, I did hear about that.
Yeah, so the Spark token is going to do a snapshot on December 12th. So we got a couple of days.
So people were just loading up in anticipation of an airdrop.
Yeah. So I would imagine.
Know what the Spark token does?
No, nobody knows.
Fucking A, dude.
Yeah.
Well, it probably does something important, but we haven't really looked into it. So
yeah,
I don't know. Maybe it does. It's definitely not like you don't ignore these old protocols. Like they're still. I mean, they're top 10, right? They're still juggernauts.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I'm more interested in the shit that's new that's coming out.
Yeah, for sure.
This dude, when you look at the DeFi, dude, there's never a shortage of like new shit to look at, dude. Like it's just every day there's something new. You know, most of it's garbage, but even sifting through the garbage is just still way more entertaining than like speculating on something that was made 3-4 years ago. You know, that really hasn't done much since. You know, they just kind of sit around.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what I mean? So, but yeah, so we're seeing some indicators again at the low gas fees, and another indicator that's piquing my attention is the fact that the locked liquidity hasn't been affected at all during this bear phase. You know, if you go to DeFi Pulse, you pull up that
it's still almost parabolic, basically.
Yeah, I'm not sure is it parabolic? I mean, it's pretty hot. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Like during the peak of the last cycle, I think it topped off like around 7 or 8 or 9 billion, probably.
Yeah, it took a little dip, but then
a tiny one, dude.
Yeah,
I was expecting it like a huge sell off, like everyone's just gonna like pull their money out, you know.
Huh.
But that didn't happen. Complete opposite.
I think the incentives are there to keep your money in. I mean, why not? I mean, you're just gonna be mining tokens.
Yeah, exactly. So the fact that the DeFi, the lifeblood of that ecosystem, just continues to grow even during like this bearish phase, like you can't ignore it, dude. At some point, DeFi is going to come back. And it's going to be like, it's going to be huge.
Oh, for sure. I mean, right? DeFi is the thing that's going to erode the existing legacy networks that we have right now.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't it do that?
Yeah, like there's tons of different services, right, that we aim to decentralize. Like that's the whole purpose of this space.
That's right.
Right. And in order to do that, you have to find clever incentive mechanisms to get people to like lock their liquidity in order to provide these services, right? Because in order to do any service, like in the banking world, banks need liquidity. And us as customers, we willingly give them our money, you know, for them to hold. And they're the ones who come up with all their little banking schemes and
derivatives.
And, all these banking products and services that they come up with, like, you know, it's 100% concocted off of our liquidity.
Yes.
Our money.
That's right.
So now this whole DeFi, like the more and more you see the liquidity pool continue to grow, it's just like the bank is getting stronger. You know?
Yeah.
That's all it is. Like the whole crypto bank is strengthening over time.
See, that's
so naturally you're going to see more and more products and services spawn out of that, right?
Yeah. And that's the beauty about DeFi is that just like in the traditional infrastructure that we have where banks are taking our liquidity and making all these services out of it, with DeFi, you still have access to your liquidity. You could pull out at any time.
Exactly.
And it's going to be there.
Yeah, it's a no-brainer like progression for society, I think. Like it's definitely going to become like fundamental shit. Like before it was a little more difficult for me to understand. Like whenever Vitalik and other Ethereum maximalists and shit would say things like decentralize everything, like what does that mean? Like how does that look?
Yeah.
Like so these protocols are starting to make that like a little more obvious now to me. Like the governance shit is still a little squirrely.
I agree.
That's the biggest thing. Like how do you govern all this stuff? I still haven't figured out.
And most projects have a governance token associated with them.
Exactly. So like that's the idea, right? Like we create these protocols they're governed by its community, but like how the fuck? How do you do that like efficiently, right? Like you
fairly. I think the whole point is to do it fairly, and I don't think you can do it. I don't think you can do it fairly. I mean, we've seen it in Decentraland. Like the person with the most mana like gets to decide what happens.
Yeah,
and that's not a bad thing unless it's actually a bad thing. Like if you have a single mana holder with like 10 million mana deciding how things work, but you trust a guy, it might not be a bad thing. But if you don't trust a guy, then it is what it is.
Well, then we're pretty much going back to representatives, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's why, man, when we were back in the day, we were talking about EOS and delegated proof of stake. To us, that made so much sense because those guys who are delegated would know what would be best for the network.
Mm-hmm.
Because, I mean, people are focused on other stuff, man. They're not focused on, like, what's going on with EOS.
Yeah. I mean, to become a candidate, I guess, to become a block. So the incentive in their model is like you want to become a block producer because it's a lucrative position, right? Mm-hmm. Like you reap the most benefit, I guess, as a block producer. So you gotta present yourself in a like a candidate would, right? Like you have to become a good actor, or you risk getting voted out from the ecosystem.
That's right.
I guess
that's right.
But yeah, the problem is like there's the cartels formed within that ecosystem to keep power, centralized power.
Yeah, and my point is that the idea of delegated proof of stake made sense. Now in practice, in practice, it's actually different.
Exactly. So like that's all I'm saying. The governance shit is going to take much longer, I think, to figure out than anything.
Yeah.
But
we've mentioned this before. The governance tokens only exist to sidestep regulation. Because if it's not a governance token, then it's a security.
Yeah, because it adds some kind of utility to that token, right?
That's right.
It's that, and just to introduce the speculative vehicle now to the market, right?
That's right.
So that the ecosystem can grow. So it all makes sense. Like we saw this coming. Same thing's going to happen in the NFT space. So like we're still extremely early in the NFT space. If you've been watching our interviews and shit, that's the case. Like barely now, like the foundational tools and protocols are being built.
That's right.
Many of them without speculative governance tokens attached to them, right? Like that's the phase that we're at in this NFT economy.
Yeah, even Matty has released his own platform called NFT Art Pulse.
That's right.
And it's for anyone who's holding NFT art to get a feel for the valuation of their art that they're holding.
Yeah, so if you're like a viewer who just stumbles onto this and you hear off, through the grapevine that people are making money investing in digital art, like what the fuck? I want to do that. So I guess the first thing you want to do, now you got a place to go and like kind of like investigate the track record and history of these assets, right?
Yeah, that's right.
You could see like their starting sell points, like how much did the artist initially list them for? 0.1 ETH? Okay, that makes sense. He sold 10 of these for 0.1 ETH maybe. And then 6 months later, some whatever the fuck rich crazy fuck spent 22 ETH for it or something,
Right.
So now you're like, holy shit. So then you could start investigating the artist more. Like, well, what did he do over this 6 month period to garner this much, value, I guess, in his work? Like, how do you start from 0.1 ETH and go that high in like 6 months?
Well, I don't know if it's so much the artist, but it's the person who owns the art, right? Because that's the guy who flipped it. Right, who bought it for 0.1 ETH, and then somebody else bought it for 22 ETH. So
but what was going through that guy's head who spent 22 ETH on this art?
Yeah, I guess. Right? So then he would be looking into the artist and seeing what the artist is doing to speculate on the valuation going up.
Yeah, more than likely, it's just like a social presence, right? Like you got to maintain like awareness. More than likely, if you go through that artist's Twitter feed, like over that 6 month period, you're going to see tons of posts. You're going to see tons of like engagement, interaction with the art community and shit like that.
Yeah.
It's just marketing and branding, dude. It's like any other product that exists. The only thing is these are like scarce products, right? So over time they gain in value depending on that branding and marketing. I would think. Yeah. Because like Matty assures me, like that's one of the first questions I asked him when he was launching this platform is like, when you compare the artists who were all around at that time where that guy launched his art piece for 0.1 ETH, and they were all launching similarly, did they all experience that same like exponential growth rate that this guy did?
That's right.
And his answer was no. Like not all of them did,
Yeah.
There's just standard outliers within this art community who are experiencing that. So there's definite like winners and losers, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Which is important to note,
Yeah.
So that's crazy. That's a whole like space in itself. And I think so. These are the tools I'm talking about that are kind of like make it more obvious, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And like we're saying, is the NFT space is barely getting those tools like developed.
Yeah.
And so
in the DeFi space, the tools are there.
Yeah,
the tools are pretty mature at this point, I would think.
Yeah, they're like touching, in the realms of like 50 million to 100 million in terms of liquidity, like overnight. Yeah. So I think that's right now, that's where the action is, and NFT will have its day, but I mean, you got to build the tools and the functionality and all that for it to be like trackable.
Yeah.
But
it's also important if you're interested in both sectors, get familiar with DeFi, educate yourself on these platforms, these protocols, how liquidity pools work, how all this shit works, because a lot of this is going to be like incorporated into the NFT space in the future. Like I can almost guarantee that. Like NFTs won't just be like standalone products and platforms. Like they're going to eventually merge, like figuring out ways, just like the DeFi space figured out ways how to like inject like capital and resources into their ecosystem. The NFT space is going to do the same thing, So we have a good groundwork to like operate from is the DeFi space.
Yeah, absolutely.
So it makes sense to start there. Learn DeFi, understand like the value that's being created there. Then you could move on to NFTs and like wait to see like who are the platforms who are doing this, who are incorporating DeFi first, because those are going to be, I think, the winners. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's my strategy.
Yeah, and I don't disagree. I think the more that you know about what's happening, the better you're equipped to make the good decisions.
Yeah, totally.
And we can kind of start with, here we go. One of the better decisions to make is looking into DeFi from the perspective of this gentleman named Andre Cronje.
Yeah. Yeah, we kind of just today, like we've heard the name, right? Like over the months, like it's just a name that permeates through the space, like because he's the founder of Yearn Finance, and it's such a hit that is almost impossible not to know. But just today, we just kind of like started looking into who he actually is, right? Like he's not just like a voice in the wind. Like this is a guy I think that is worth studying and like looking into, because he's making some serious moves. And as soon as I opened up this page on CoinGecko and saw there's like an actual Yearn Finance ecosystem that's building, to me this looks like it's like a fucking cartel growing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yearn Finance as a platform just keeps acquiring more and more protocols,
Yeah, I think that's the thing with Andre is like he's a builder, so he's making a bunch of stuff and like putting it out there, which I mean, a lot of credit goes to him for like coming up with this stuff. But I think he's seeing something that a lot of these protocols are like emulating and copying, but that doesn't mean that there's any less value into what's going on, especially with this impending DeFi bull run. I mean, these are the tokens that are really going to see that value go into.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I've experienced, I guess the reason why I'm interested in this Andre guy now, and like just because of the cover protocol, that's kind of like what got me back into the DeFi space. I heard Andre was affiliated with this project, so of course I wanted to learn more. I wanted to understand what it is. You find out it's just like a decentralized insurance protocol. And
look at that.
Look what it's done over the last few days, dude.
Yeah. So it went as low as $200, and now it's at $1,000.
So as far as like historical events that's happened in this time frame, I think like 2, maybe 3 protocols have like gone through the claim process. I think one was Badger DAO and another one was Pickle.
Yeah.
So like there's some activity happening. There's some claims being executed and some actually being rejected. I think the Badger DAO got rejected by their community. So like it's working. This protocol is working. People are staking liquidity. I think more than 10 million is locked up. And they're being rewarded for being like, basically liquidity to like an insurance provider, right? Like we just talked about this. Like there's real world services out there that operate off of liquidity, right? So now the platforms are being built to mimic those same services, but through our, combined liquidity. So it's working here.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's necessarily what's driving up the price so much. I don't know.
I wonder why Uniswap has only about 10% of the entire volume. I would have expected Uniswap to like dominate here. But
wait, let me see that. Where do you see percent? Oh, there it is.
10% of the total volume happening on Uniswap.
Yeah, you're right. That's interesting. Wait, it says 58% from MXC. That can't be right?
Yeah, that seems weird.
Yeah, I agree. This is a new development, dude. So I'm definitely gonna look into that.
But it's $1,000. I mean, that's pretty high. In 7 days, it's done 200%.
Yeah. So I mean, again, the market's pretty. It's a pretty interesting market. Bitcoin is like hovering around 20,000. Ethereum, everyone's expecting it to eventually make that 2x run up, right? To like recover and catch up to Bitcoin.
Yeah.
But it hasn't yet.
Yep.
So in the meantime, I think while I guess the big two protocols are kind of like stagnant, it makes sense to kind of focus your attention on the DeFi space, right? And there's shit like this running up, independently. Like, I don't know. It's a good strategy, dude. Like you hop in and out of Bitcoin and Ethereum, and then whenever those two slow down, like DeFi usually gets like some life, know?
Right.
It's reminiscent of like what used to happen in 2017 with like ICOs and altcoins, Bitcoin and Ethereum would have their run-ups, altcoins and would have their run-ups as well. So
yeah,
same thing's happening here, or it's starting to happen,
Yeah. So the way that I got here was this is the Yearn ecosystem. So all these protocols are connected to Yearn Finance to a certain extent. And so all of them have a connection to Andre Cronje. What's it? Cronje?
Cronje. That's what I call him. Yeah. Andre Cronje. I mean, he's got a J, dude. That J throws me off.
Yeah.
I don't know if you pronounce it like a Cronje.
Yeah.
Cronje? I don't think so. I think it's Cronje.
But yeah, so he's in his Twitter account. I mean, I definitely follow him to keep up with what's going on. But he's talked about every single one of these on this list on CoinGecko, the Yearn ecosystem. Every single one has been on his Twitter timeline. So that is a good place to stay up with this. And I'm pretty sure this ecosystem is going to grow. So if it grows, the more likely, these things are going to start doing 100% in a week.
Yeah, I think so too. I think he's aggregating like, or maybe not just him, like whatever team he's working with, like they're putting together like a team, like, I don't know, like I like to compare it to kind of like what Binance and Tron used to look like in 2017, like in the Chinese, like Hong Kong space, they formed like a little cartel of, projects and developers were like, it seemed like anything affiliated with that core group of minds, I guess, was experiencing the most success, I guess, during that time. Cause like they were kind of like the movers at the time, like Binance, Neo, Tron, all that stuff. Like they were huge, so I feel like the same thing's happening in the DeFi space with this little cartel that's forming,
Yeah, I totally agree. I mean, it's no coincidence that this guy, he's affiliated with all these coins that are doing like 100x, or not 100x, but like at least 10x over a short time period, especially during that little DeFi bull run that we saw. But it is interesting. I mean, this guy, he started Yearn Finance, which is a pretty useful protocol, but I don't think he's having a good time at the moment with the craziness with these bull runs too. Yeah,
I mean, he's made some mistakes, right? I think like his I mean, if you read his Twitter freaking bio, it says like I tested in production. I think he's created like faulty smart contracts before that have been hacked.
That's right.
You know, he's lost his participants like a lot of money.
Yep.
But like,
because
he's letting you know ahead of time, like there's risk in this, you know?
Yeah, there's some blind followers that as soon as he releases a smart contract where you can like provide liquidity or interact with it, like they've lost money because these smart contracts they have some errors, some glitches. Yeah. And so yeah, you got to be careful.
Yeah, definitely got to be careful, but keep an eye on this guy's feed for sure. Like if you're looking for like good sources of information for this space, if you want to learn more and like stay up to date on what's being developed, I think for sure this is a good starting point.
Yeah, to prove the point is I don't have notifications on for anybody that I follow except for MetaZone, and I have this guy's on, so that says something.
Yeah, totally. So we'll see how this ends up working, you know. Maybe we'll stumble on some bangers in the future.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Yeah, so we were reading up on Keep3r, and Keep3r was...
This is another one, right?
Yeah, another one of his list here. So Keep3r, let me show you where they're at on the list. So Keep3r's at 133, has a market cap of 71 million. And so we wanted to see, like, what is this about? Because I saw it in the past, but I never, like, really looked into it. And the introduction says, is Keep3r's a network, or Keep3r Network is a decentralized for projects that need external DevOps and for external teams to find Keep3r jobs. So that's another thing, like, this industry needs to get better at, is explaining some of this stuff, because it's not it's not easy. So in this,
you mean that paragraph's not enough for you, dude?
No, sir. No, sir.
Yeah, I feel that, dude.
But it's not too complicated, right? There's a Keep3r and there's jobs. So a Keep3r is the term used to refer to an external person and or team that executes a job. This can be as simplistic as calling a transaction or as complex as requiring extensive off-chain logic. The scope of the Keep3r network is not to manage these jobs themselves, but to allow contracts to register as jobs for Keep3rs and Keep3rs to register themselves as available to perform jobs. So this is a lot of words to describe what we've already seen pretty much dominate our, our economy is the gig economy, right? If you drive for Uber or Lyft or use TaskRabbit, like these are all gig jobs. And so I think what we're looking at here with Keep3r Network is a smart contract based gig economy, which,
or at least like a foundational tool for that, right?
Yeah. So that's a big deal in my eyes. If that's what this is, which so far I haven't seen anything to contradict that, this is a big deal.
Let's read a little bit more about registering a job. There's just so we can here.
Registering a job. A job can be any system that requires external execution. The scope of Keep3r is not to define or restrict the action taken, but to create an incentive mechanism for all parties involved. There are two core ways to create a job. It's registering a job via governance or registering a job via contract interface. So for governance, if you prefer, you can register a job by simply submitting a proposal via governance to include the contract as a job. If governance approves, no further steps are required. And then for the interface, you can register a job by calling a function on the Keep3r contract. You must not have any current active jobs associated with this account. So calling that function will create a pending governance vote for the job specified by address and function arguments. You're limited to submit a new job request via this address every 14 days. So this is not so much a gig economy sort of decentralized interface. This is more like a governance tool to vote on jobs to be completed.
A governance tool to vote on jobs to be completed. So this sounds like it could be something really useful to Decentraland, right? any kind of DAO where there's potential for like there's funding.
Dude, that's such a good example. So let's come up with an example. We need a mobile app for Decentraland.
Yeah, exactly. We have a job.
So we have a job. Yeah, we post it, sure. And people vote on it. It's like, this is obviously a need. Everybody agrees. Now, all of a sudden, funds are allocated to that job. Let's say it's like 5 million mana. Then
let's use USD, dude, because mana confuses me.
So
$100,000.
Yeah, $500,000, right?
Okay.
Yeah,
that's a lot of money, dude. But yeah, a mobile app. Yeah, you're right, dude. It probably would cost like a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
And then so it's like, okay, we have a job for $500,000 to make this mobile app for Decentraland. Then we have keepers who go, I guess, either bid or go and actually execute on this job, right? And they build this application, then they submit it. Once it's submitted and tested by the community, it's like, yeah, this looks like it works, it's functional, and like, here's your $500,000.
Damn, just like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's all DAO governance. It's all DAO voted, basically.
Yeah.
So this for all these. So this is interesting. So this is kind of like I earlier stated, like the only thing I'm skeptical of is whether or not DAOs and governance and shit can work. So right. I guess with tools like this, maybe there's more of a shot.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Because that's the big thing that's lacking in Decentraland. There's no like organization going on. You know, there's no. Yes, we have a DAO and we have the voting infrastructure in place and we have plenty of money to play with, but there's no
momentum on any of the proposals.
There's no like actual execution of anything, right?
Yeah.
So I guess whenever
and it's not because people are there isn't a lack of posting, right? There are some proposals being put out there. It's just I don't know.
Central Games put one out.
Yeah.
They wanted to use the mana pool
for liquidity
to stake on their platform, their yield farming platform to do what? To mine DG tokens, right?
That's right. Yeah, and then
and to earn a yield.
The foundation would yield the DG tokens.
Yeah, that's right. So the foundation, meaning like all of our collective mana, which is around 2 million or so, would be yielding, I guess, a bonus, I guess, until the DAO decides no longer to do this anymore, I guess, right? Yeah. That's the proposal, I think, which is interesting. You know,
it is interesting.
Like, it sounds like
it's a good use of funds, in my opinion.
Yeah, because all it's doing is growing the funding pool, right?
Hell yeah! I mean,
yeah, why wouldn't you do that if it's just sitting there dormant, like just chilling?
And that's the thing, is like, we agree with this proposal, but like, I mean, what power do we have, really?
We agree with, like, I think it's not a negative outcome in this. I mean, the most ideal outcome is like we use that money as a community to encourage more development and creation on this platform. I don't think, you know, staking all that money into Decentraland Gaming's yield farming protocol is gonna.
Oh, it won't yield anything other than more money. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. But if it's already yielding nothing in terms of like content creation, might as well earn some money.
Well, right? Yeah, almost like that's like a based resting.
Yeah,
it just like rests into their smart contracts until we vote on like some shit like this, like an actual job comes in that we need funding from, and it can be extracted from there, I guess.
Yeah.
It makes sense. We made a similar proposal. Remember when we interviewed Fede?
Yes.
Like a year ago or something? A long fucking time ago, dude. We made a proposal to him. We're like, hey, we got this wacky idea, dude. I don't know if you heard of DeFi. Yeah. But we're like, we heard of this thing called Compound, dude. And apparently, like, people are getting like 16% interest or some shit like that on their liquidity. So, like, how about, like, we're rubbing our hands together. How about we put Decentraland's foundation mana into this compound liquidity pool, generate some yield, and then we use that to fund like
crazy projects and games,
or our game incentive to get people to play, right?
Yeah.
In our case, it would go to like our tournaments that we were running back then. You know? We were running monthly tournaments. The problem is we didn't have the funds to sustain that. You know, but if we were generating like passive yield, like it would probably have been tens of thousands of dollars, right?
Yeah.
that's enough to fund like enough, activity in Decentraland to get people to show up.
Yeah.
I would think.
Yeah, I agree.
So it was a good idea back then. I think it's a good idea now.
Yeah, I mean, and decentral games, obviously, that's a good idea. It's just, I think the preferred use of funds is like create content, and I think everybody would agree, even decentral games. But if you're not creating content, then earning money, everybody's doing it in DeFi, right? That's the whole point of liquidity.
That's like the next best thing, yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you can have like sustainable income through liquidity mining, that can fund like the crazy projects, right? The low chance of success projects. Because it doesn't really cost you anything.
Yeah. It's just house money anyway. So
it's house money. That's right.
Yeah, that's interesting. So this is really cool. This is like something for sure. I don't know, dude. I definitely blew it off like when I first looked at it because like look at the interface, dude. Like go to their actual website.
Oh yeah. So let me go Keep3r. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah, this is what I saw. This is what I saw. I'm like, why is this thing like mooning? And then I go to this, I see their interface. I'm like, dude, like, what is this, man? I get turned off immediately, I guess. But yeah, I shouldn't because like, look at Uniswap, same shit. It's like simple.
Oh, we're seeing some traction here. It says 4,000, almost 5,000 jobs done.
Okay, see, I did not see this. This is way better.
812 keepers. Keep3r bonded.
$1 million, dude. Wonder what that means. Like that's the payouts.
Keep3r bonded. Keep3r bonded.
Yeah, I think that means like how much has been paid out. So like $1 million to 4,870.
Damn.
For
now this is a protocol, dude. I like this.
Yeah, it's working. That's what you like to see, right?
Yeah.
Just like how I like to see Cover working. Like Cover has been working. There's a lot less like transactions. I've only seen like 2 or 3, but these are like big, big protocols using that platform, right? Like whenever something bad happens to them, they go to Cover, like expecting like hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yeah. And it's so far has been working for them. But this seems like a smaller scale kind of
look
protocol,
at this dude. Yeah? He's done 367 jobs, it seems. He's earned almost $10,000 in Keep3r.
Holy shit. I wonder what he's doing. Can you click on his address? Does it show anything? Yo, this is really nice. This is a good layout. A little dashboard.
Earnings and transaction fees. Oh, this is weird.
Oh, look, it says the job. Scroll down. It says job. Oh, Oracle.
Sushi Swap.
These are like Oracle jobs.
Yeah, let's see.
He's an Oracle?
Keep3r V1 Oracle. Dude, man, it's like we're diving into a. No, it's not that we're going deep. It's like we're going to a different planet.
Yeah.
I
love this shit, dude.
I want to look at these jobs. So this is Sushi Swap, V1 Oracle. Was this MetaMask Strategy Keeper?
Or Market Maker.
Or Market Maker, yeah. Okay, let's
see, I don't know what any of this means. Oh, there's docs. Oh, interesting. Yo, this is one hell of a rabbit hole, dude. I love going down rabbit holes.
Yeah, man. Oh, wait a minute. So this is the contract, okay. Sushi Swap V1 Oracle. Okay, we're looking at some code here for those who are not watching. And so let's go to read contract. So we have the Keep3r. Oh, Uni. We got Weth. See, man, I can see why this guy has earned $10,000, dude.
He's done a lot of work, huh?
Yeah.
But so I see he's input a lot of work So who is requesting this job, or like, so who's he doing work for? Work for free.
Okay, how do we get here? So job list. So it's not clear to me like what the job actually is, because all the links lead to a smart contract.
These guys don't like put like a fucking
That's wild though.
Like a briefing.
You can post a job, and like all you do is like a link to a smart contract, and like those who know what to do can actually perform the job.
Yeah. Dude, what the fuck, man? I'm so confused.
Yeah.
But like you said, this sounds like something big in the making. And I think a lot of other people recognize this. That's why like you've seen this speculative growth of this ecosystem. Right now it's currently sitting around 70 million. So there's no way like this is the end of it, right? Like depending on how robust this community becomes, I would think it would grow pretty exponentially, right? Because there's a huge community of developers out there that have skills, and I'm sure there's like an endless supply of jobs for them to do.
Yeah.
Oh, what do you know? There's the Andre Cronje tweet.
Track job performance, keep earnings, and more. Absolutely amazing work. So that was an endorsement tweet by Andre Cronje.
November 8th. See what the price was at November 8th. So if you're tracking Andre's Twitter profile and you see him tweeting Keep3r on November 8th, you buy $130. So yeah, if you use Andre as like a good indicator for like an entry into some kind of project, that would have been a golden move for you, because you would have experienced about a 4x run up since then.
Yeah. Exactly.
So that's just confirming our
our thesis
that Andre is the man to follow.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on him. Keep an eye on all these protocols we've discussed so far, because like we're just as blind as you guys are to these things too, because we're just now kind of like learning about them. But goddamn, do they sound important?
Yeah, they do. Yeah, I mean, it makes sense. If you go into Keep3r's documentation, like it's just not, in my opinion, not well written. There needs to be a ton of work here, which this is probably like a one-man job. So, I mean, hats off to, what's this guy named? Z Ashton.
Mm-hmm.
He's a one-man crew, like one-manning a 71 million market cap protocol.
Yep.
Shit.
He just had a great idea, dude. Great vision.
And execution.
The MVP of it. This is definitely MVP.
Yeah, for sure.
That's why, like, dude, I'm so stupid. I get turned off by that. Like, if I had like a little more like patience, actually like dive deeper, like what you just did, dude, like I would have been way more turned on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I heard about this. I remember. Like, a couple weeks ago, I went to your house to show you this shit, dude. Like I was like, look how stupid this looks. I was like, can you believe people are putting their money into this? And now here I am today. Like, dude, this is fucking amazing. Dude. You gotta look past that fucking book cover, dude. That saying is true. Don't ever judge a book by its cover, dude.
How did you first find out about it though? Like
just the price.
Just the price.
It was a trending token on CoinGecko, because people were pumping it up. So I was like, I have to find out more. And as far as I went, was like the landing page, which is so hideous.
Yeah.
But by design, right? Because it's just, I think.
I mean, it's more function over form, right?
Yeah. So don't get turned off by like ugly looking things. It seems to be like conventional in the DeFi space, right? Because it's in such an early experimental phase. Like, these developers, they're not prioritizing like the general consumer, dude. They're just trying to build these protocols like from a foundational level. So of course they're going to be hideous.
Yeah.
You know, they're just trying to figure out whether or not these smart contracts will execute or not.
So essentially we need to do that deep dive on every single one of these, including Sushi, just for completion's sake. Yeah, just for completion's sake. Because a $280 million market cap, something has to be happening here that's like sustainable.
Yeah, because the Sushi mania is what pulled us into the DeFi bubble 1.0, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Like
that's
everyone was talking about Sushi. We're like, okay, let's find out what this shit is.
Yeah, and then we looked at it.
Yeah, immediately we thought this was like a scam, dude. We're like, dude, this is not good.
Yeah. And then, of course, you have to be careful because even BitConnect went all the way up to $1 billion.
Yeah.
Up to the point to where I was looking at it, I was like, dude, am I like looking at this wrong? Is this like something legit? And nope, definitely a scam.
Yeah, you always start to question your logic, dude. Like in this space. It's like, maybe I'm just
flawed.
Flawed human, dude. I'm just not getting it.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, this is a good place to start. So we're going to start here. We're going to do our own due diligence on these things just because, like I said, it's good to educate yourself.
Yeah.
Because it's going to have implications on the rest of the space, you know, NFTs for sure. We just kind of like made that connection. Keep3r, this DeFi protocol, is probably going to be used in this NFT ecosystem we call it Decentraland, right?
That's right. Hell yeah, dude.
That's more than likely. Like,
yeah, and it's a protocol, so anybody can use it for anything.
True. It just makes sense.
So, that was DeFi. I did want to talk about something interesting, equally as interesting, is Wozniak. If you don't know who Wozniak is, he's the co-founder of Apple. There's actually 3 co-founders of Apple. One of them sold their stock for like $1,000 back in the 80s.
Oh no!
Yeah, and
did he kill himself yet?
No, he didn't. They've interviewed him since then, but he was like, "Yeah, I think at the time I was making the right decision," and I think he said he doesn't regret it because it made sense. He needed $1,000 at the time, so.
Dude, $1,000 back then is probably like what, like $5,000?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, I could see that being like some life-saving sum of money. Like he was probably about to go, you know, bankrupt or kicked out of his house or something like that.
Yeah, and so I think it was Jobs or Wozniak. I think it was Jobs who bought those shares back. And then everybody knows.
What did the other guy do? Was he also a developer?
Wozniak?
No, the
other guy. I think he was a developer. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Interesting. I didn't know that. But yeah, isn't he like the? He's like the mastermind, right? Like he's the one who actually built the first like Apple product.
So Steve Jobs was a developer too, but obviously not as good as Wozniak in terms of like making things functional. Mm-hmm. But they're both. I mean, Wozniak was really like the brains of Apple back in the days. And there's a couple good, pretty accurate movies that have come out about Steve Jobs explaining the whole genesis of Apple. And but
yeah, I think what Jobs did, like like back then, instead of like now, it's like smart contracts, right? This is what all these like savvy developers are experimenting with. Back then, it was more like hardware, right? Like circuit boards and shit.
Yeah.
So he was kind of like everything was like clunky and not commercial friendly. Steve Jobs kind of like made that bridge, right?
Yeah, Steve Jobs was more like he was the marketing arm of Apple. I mean, he's the one who made Apple, right? Steve Jobs. And he made his products more about like the emotion of the actual hardware and not like the specs of the hardware.
And the user experience, right?
Yeah, and the user experience.
Like he's all about like, you know,
like
trying to visualize like what
it can do for you and not like CPU or RAM or any of those specs that, you know, all these other manufacturers talk about constantly. Which it's still important information, but not as important as this computer can help you become a better artist or better at whatever it is you're trying to do. But anyway, so Wozniak came out with a coin called Efforce, Efforce. And they just released their token this week. And let me show you the damage it's done. It's number 127, dude.
It can't be. It has to be higher than this, right? I thought you said it hit 950 million or something.
Well, I think that was one of the articles. I don't know. Maybe it hit like 950 million market cap for like a second on one of these other exchanges. But right now, it's a 72 million market cap. It released a couple of days ago, and it doesn't show it on CoinMarketCap, but the token opened at 10 cents. And so it instantly went up 1,500%, like 15x to $1.50, and then now it's at $3.48. So what?
Jeez.
So what does this token do? So let's go to project, and so this is the first blockchain-based energy savings platform. Efforce is the first platform that allows contributors to benefit from the energy savings generated by energy-efficient projects worldwide. So the way that it works is we have contributors. Contributors can participate in energy-efficient projects by acquiring tokenized future savings.
Interesting.
And then companies benefit from energy-efficient improvements at no cost, and the resulting savings are written in real time on the blockchain. So then a smart contract redistributes the resulting savings to token holders and the companies without intermediaries based on exact consumption savings data. So I guess companies make improvements, like energy efficient improvements, and then they tokenize that and sell it on the open market.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And so I'm sure they've been working on this for quite some time, and they just released their token.
I mean, it sounds very similar to what, like Power Ledger and projects like that originally, like we're envisioning, or maybe like parts of it, right? Like Power Ledger was supposed to be a way for, I think, more like, yeah, like say you have like a solar system on your house and you're harvesting your own energy. Whatever excess energy you don't use can be tokenized and sold on the open market, like you just said, right? So you can kind of like monetize like your saved energy resources and you know, build a whole market for this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, in other words, through Efforce, the energy savings of a third party are tokenized and can be used by everyone. And then so they have a token allocation. 20% was for the team, the Efforce Limited. And
private placement? What is that?
Private placement, I think that's for investors.
Yo, 45%? That's huge.
Yeah. I mean, it depends on your investor. I mean, it could be worth it.
Yeah, but then again, from like a token investor perspective, like that's not a good sign. Like that's just too much.
No, but the key thing here is the emission rate. It says new tokens will never be created.
That's good, I guess. Yeah, it's just a lot. Like it's just a lot of you know, cell control like allocated to a single source. You know, like at any moment.
It's true. Any moment they can dump.
At any moment, 65% of these tokens can get dumped on the market, you know?
Yeah.
That's a lot. So I'm pretty sure most of these people who are throwing their money at this aren't like looking at the tokenomics any of it.
Oh, no.
All they're seeing is WOZ.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I mean, naturally.
But that's important to note, you know?
So yeah, I thought this was interesting. The initial 15x return kind of scared me off, like when I saw that, but it kept going up. So clearly, I was wrong.
Yeah, this is one I'm just too scared to touch.
Yeah,
and it's probably gonna be one like I totally regret not touching.
Well, it has to correct soon. I mean,
but dude, even at 70 million, like, don't you think that's a steal of a deal for a WOZ token?
Well, yeah, if you look at it that way, you have a good point.
Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's amazing that like a token as hyped as this is came into the market like in the sub 10 million zone or whatever. Like, how does WOZ enter the market like at such a cheap valuation, you know?
Well, I mean, WOZ was never in the public eye all that much. I mean, if Steve Jobs came out with a token, it'd be instant, you know, a couple billion easy.
Yeah. Yeah, like an Apple ICO. Jesus.
Shit.
That thing would ICO at like 20 billion easy.
I mean, you know what? All these like trillion-dollar corporations, SpaceX, Apple, Amazon, they have to be working on some sort of a token, dude. They have to. Like this is kind of like a natural. I don't want to say natural step, but I think this is part of the evolution of the internet. Is these?
It probably is, but
tokens.
I mean, they don't have an incentive to give a fuck. You know what I mean?
You know they do though. They have an incentive to stay relevant. Like think about Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola, the company, has been around for over 100 years, and it's a drink, and they haven't changed their logo in over 100 years.
Mm-hmm.
And they stay relevant by like bombarding everybody with ads.
Yeah. No, I mean you're probably right.
You
like
can't do that with like tech companies.
Yeah. Microsoft is making their own NFTs and stuff like that, so
yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised if they're thinking about a token.
I mean, this is a long way away. I mean, I don't think Apple's going to come out with a token like within the next decade. I doubt.
Yeah. You don't know. Maybe Facebook's trying right now.
Well, Facebook, yeah.
So,
I think it's because
you're
Zuckerberg is inherently interested in this tech. I mean, he's a nerd, just like the rest of us.
Yeah, and he's relatively like still pretty young, strapping young lad. So he's still hip with the times, I guess. Like,
yeah. But you know what?
A lot of these other companies have like older CEOs and founders and shit.
I mean, think about Jeff Bezos. He was early. He was a early adopter of the internet in terms of like a pioneer.
Yeah.
So he's got to have like a team of people looking at cryptocurrencies, dude. Imagine if Amazon came out with a token.
Yeah.
Dude, it would be over, man. These like huge companies would just take over. Like probably, I don't know, blast Bitcoin from a market cap standpoint to oblivion.
Yeah, it's actually crazy because Amazon is actually positioned perfectly to do something that like what Rarible does. Like it's just a marketplace.
Yeah.
That actually has tons of user activity. Yeah, and like the incentive for people to sell on that platform and buy on that platform would be, you're farming tokens just like
dude, that'd be wild, man.
Yeah. So like me, dude, I've spent so much money on Amazon. I guess right now, like the best way to get a kickback from that purchasing activity is to like use their Amazon credit card, right? And you get like a 5% cash back.
Yeah, but that's such an old paradigm that
exactly.
I don't know if it works as well as the opposite incentive of like collecting tokens. Instead of getting a discount?
No. Discounts they're not as visually stimulating and like
as an
appealing
account.
as like an account that's growing a balance over time,
That's right. That's right.
And then then you see the value of these tokens go up over time with it. It's like, holy shit, dude, I'm gonna go bankrupt buying Amazon products, Yeah. Just try and farm these stupid tokens.
Yeah.
But I could definitely potentially see, or maybe it was another Amazon competitor might figure out a way how to decentralize the whole ecosystem and do this.
Yeah, that's true.
Amazon's
definitely not going to disappear, even if
you can't, dude. How you could ever beat Amazon is like, Bezos spent like 20 years building that infrastructure, dude.
Yeah,
like, what a 5D chess move. It was a great foresight, dude. He's like, if I just spend the next 20 years like building all these factories, like acquiring all these like
distribution centers,
all this shit, dude.
Yeah.
Like I'll be chilling. I'll be chilling when I'm like in my 50s, and he's right.
Yeah, he's more than chilling though.
Yeah, he controls.
Yeah, he cut his net worth in half, and he's still like number one.
He recouped the year after, like no biggie. Pretty crazy, man. What a guy. So who are the next Bezoses from our space? Is it Andre Cronje? Could be. Yeah, stay tuned, dude.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely has some momentum behind him, that's for sure.
Yeah, he just needs to keep coming out with more and more good DeFi products, more adoption, more liquidity. And who knows where this will go, man.
Yeah.
But we're still so early, man.
We're early,
but I can't overemphasize that enough.
Yeah, and that's the beauty about what we're doing. If you're listening, you're definitely early. Yeah, stay tuned because we're going to keep up with this stuff and talking about it incessantly. And so thank you guys for listening. Make sure you follow the Block Runner on Twitter and at MetaZone.io. And let's keep this train going, and hopefully we'll have some interesting updates for Decentraland and MetaZone and all that coming up. I know Ether might have something big.
And we got some big events coming up.
We got our own events for Corona Zombies to keep up with. And so, yeah, so thank you guys for listening. We'll see you next week.
All right, we're out. Peace.